wah, 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 wah. Wah, wah, wah.
I swear, the only thing I get out of that class is a nap.
I wish I got that much. That voice honestly haunts me all the time. I don't even understand what she's talking about. It goes in one ear and goes out the other.
Well, I, for one, found that class very interesting and quite riveting.
You would.
Hey, you really understand what's going on in that class? Would you mind maybe helping me out or something? I really want to do well, and I do try to stay awake, but I honestly can't focus and I don't know what to do.
Of course I'll help you. It's a shame that you're not getting what you need from that class, though.
And was a composer of the classical era. Does anyone know where
Salzburg, Austria.
Correct. So now we know Mozart was born in Salzburg, Austria.
I don't really know what happened in that class, do you?
Not really. I mean, I guess I picked up one thing. I know we were talking about Mozart.
Well, I know what happened. That class was very interesting. I love Mozart, don't you?
No, geek. But check out my sweet doodle, bro.
Is that a seahorse?
It's a...
Everybody needs to know about Mozart for their test on Friday.
Oh.
Yes!
What? Can anybody tell me where Mozart was born?
Yes,
Lauren?
Salzburg, Austria. Salzburg in 1756.
Yes, and that's right. Does anyone else know what happened in 1756? Yes, Jonathan.
7 Years' War.
Correct! Look at you guys making historical connections.
Test on Friday? Yo, I have a date Thursday night. I don't have time for this.
Ugh, whatever. I just have to go to cheerleading until I die. We have a big competition next week. I don't have time for histo anymore.
I just don't get why she's saying we're making connections. Like, who cares about the 7 Years' War? It didn't even last that long compared to the 100 Years' War.
Well, it's very important. I mean, you see, the Brits were mad at France, and
No one cares! I just want to get through this stupid class so I can worry about what actually matters in my life.
Hey, did you hear about Jackie got asked out by Jeff?
Oh my god, no!
Where's the t-shirt?
Well, hello, class! My name is Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, and I will be taking over for class today. Now, as you all know, I was born in 1756. Does anybody know what country I was born in? Come on, country, where was I born?
Salzburg, Austria.
Very nice, very well done. Now, I was born in 1756, which means I was born in what era? Yes, Jonathan?
the classical era.
Absolutely, and shut your ear! What other composers were born in my time?
Haydn?
Ha 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 ha! Very good, Haydn. Who else?
Beethoven.
Beethoven. Do you know why Beethoven could never find his piano teacher? Because he was hiding up. Alright, so, as you guys know, I was born in Salzburg, Austria in 1756. I was a very famous and well-known classical composer. Can anybody tell me what instruments I played? Yes?
He played piano. You played piano.
I play piano. Thank you. Anybody else know what other instruments I played?
You played the violin.
I do. I play a beautiful violin. All right, so I think you guys learned an amazing amount of stuff today. And you're ready for your test on Friday, and I will see you then.
Did you see that wig?
I know, it's so cool. It's rather funny to go through the class pretending that Mozart was actually in the classroom with us.
I had a great time in today's lesson. I really appreciated it. I love the way she incorporates Mozart in the classical period. I really appreciate her teaching methods. What's methods?
I learned a lot in class today, but I know the second the test is over Friday, it's all gone.
Yeah. I just wish that there was a way to make sense for why we're learning it, you know? Like, she's a good teacher and she gets us involved and she gets us laughing, but I just don't know why I'm learning it and how it even helps me once I leave her class.
Dude, are your like suspenders on too tight?
I can't feel my eyes.
Lady Gaga happens to be a very good friend of mine, and I invited her to class today. Do you not believe me?
No.
Oh, Gaga, please come here for a moment.
Miss Hot Chocolate! Only one kiss from Gaga.
Alright, so, can anybody tell me how Lady Gaga and I can be related as composers? Now, I know we are from very, very different times, but if you look really deep, Lady Gaga and I have more in common than you might believe. Alright, so, remember that opera that you were telling me that I wrote about? Okay, what was different about that opera than any of the other operas of my time?
It was in German and not in Italian?
Right, which created what around the people since it was in German?
A lot of controversy.
A lot of controversy. Lady Gaga, do you feel that you create controversy?
Well, my fans love me, and I just want to relate to my fans, so...
Does anybody else feel that Lady Gaga can possibly be controversial in a 21st century global environment?
Yes.
Yeah, so see, we're making connections. Now, you may think that Mozart is a dead classical musician, but he relates more. See?
He is.
He is, but he relates more in a 21st century environment than you guys know, huh? All right. Well, very good class today. My Lady Gaga and I are going to go to Panera Bread and Starbucks for lunch. Oh, what are you going to talk about? Oh, everything, Lady Gaga.
Aesthetic experience grows out of an experience. It extends it and it enlarges it.
Aesthetic experiences are the most powerful in a classroom due to the fact that they allow students to gain a new perspective.
It creates a learning experience that is memorable, enjoyable, self-sufficient, rounded, and satisfying.
Parts are brought together in a meaningful whole, so that students are able to have closure. They leave the lesson feeling like it really is over, no matter how long the duration of the lesson.
The lesson doesn't have to be extravagant, like bringing in Lady Gaga to the lesson for the lesson to be aesthetic.
A lesson could be as simple as taking a historical walk throughout the town that the school is in, or even taking an afternoon and studying paintings.
Just as long as the students find the lesson to be fulfilling and receive conclusiveness.
You know, it makes a big difference when your teachers make an effort to know what's going on in our lives.
Yeah, totally. Like, I'll definitely remember that lesson. It was really fun.
I completely agree. It's so much better than books. And she made it so relevant and easy to remember. I love it.
I stayed awake, and I remember what's going on. I thought it was really cool how she connected things. And for once, I know what's going on in the class.
So Lakeland, what have you learned today?
Well, I learned how Mozart was controversial, just like Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga is controversial because the material in her songs is considered risque. Mozart also had some material in his operas that was controversial, such as writing in German when Italian was the customary language. I also discovered that there's so much more to learn about Mozart than I originally thought. I thought it was enough to know the year and when he was born and where he was born, as well as being part of the classical era. Now I understand how important it is to know cultural context, as well as connections to a 21st century global environment.
John Dewey had a really good thought with that whole experiences thing.
I agree. Students really need experiences that relate to their lives in order to learn.
Mm-hmm. When a teacher simply stands in front of the classroom and lectures, many students are disengaged and there's no real point to the learning. That's what's happening in anesthetic and non-aesthetic experiences.
Yeah, and then experiences and experiences are a step up. They make the lesson more interesting, but the students seem to leave the classroom not really knowing why it matters and why they're learning things. Sometimes with an experience, they attend school more for the social aspect.
Aesthetic experience are definitely the best. Don't you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
These are the types of lessons that actually relate to the kids. They keep the kids engaged, but they give them a reason to be in the class and why the lessons have meaning to their life.
Mm-hmm. Maybe teachers who simply just stand in front of a class and lecture should think about changing their teaching methods.
I agree. I mean, I know teachers who are teaching through experiences or an experiences could maybe use some work. An idea is definitely formulating,
but either because of interruptions or because they can't relate, students aren't getting everything that they could out of a classroom.
So let's put the experiences in order from worst to best.
Okay. Well, the students fell asleep during anesthetic experiences, so I'm pretty sure that's definitely the worst.
Yeah, and that kid drew a really awesome picture in the non-aesthetic experiences. But he didn't fall asleep, so that's probably a step up, right?
And during the experience, the students learned a little, but I think they would get more out of the social aspect of school rather than the actual lesson itself. It's a good middle point.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely seemed to have a lot of fun with you during the An experience, but I'm not really sure if they knew why it related to their lives. Like, why should they really care about Mozart?
But when you brought me into the picture, it made it easier because they could see how controversial Mozart was compared to Lady Gaga, and they were actually able to make connections.
So I think we learned a lot from doing the teacher as composer out of the John Dewey book. We learned that there are 5 levels of teaching, and we rated them from the least productive to the most productive.